Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel 9 Files, where we talk about astrology and sometimes occultism and sometimes spirituality. So as promised, we are continuing with the Pluto saga. And yes, I'm back with my mic, and I hope that the sound quality this time is better. So, this video is going to be fully packed with information because we are not just going to talk about the sun, we are going to talk about all the personal planets. So I will leave some timestamps and we will talk about what happens when Pluto is in either a square, conjunction, opposition to any of your personal planets, such as the moon, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, you name it. Okay, so this is going to be a fully packed video. For those of you who are new to this channel, I love Pluto. I'm a passionate Pluto astrologer. In fact, I started my channel with a lot of Pluto videos. You can watch them. I had a rebrand of my channel, so I had more Pluto videos, but I decided to rebrand my channel, and I've been talking about Pluto for a while now. Now it's pretty popular, which is, I applaud this. I think it's great. I think it's great to see that people are finally catching up to the reality that Pluto is a very important one. And in a nutshell, if you do not understand what Pluto is about transformation and deep psychology and evolution. And Pluto, together with Saturn, shows us what is going on this earthly matrix realm. Meaning, like both of these planets, Pluto and Saturn, govern over time. Saturn over time and Pluto over time and space. And together with those planets, we can see the zeitgeist, the trends of society. So meaning like the 90s were different like the 80s, and now the 2020s are different than the 2010s. And this is something that we can see with Pluto and Saturn. So, and again, if you are interested in that, I have some videos on Pluto. Let's start with Aquarius again. And if you are interested, I made a video on the natal position of what happens when we have Pluto conjunct Sun. So we will talk about briefly over the Sun aspect now. And then I'm going to continue with the personal planets. But I will talk about all the signs later on as well. For Aquarius Sun, this is of course in a conjunction, all right? So for you, it's going to be, I'm going to repeat myself again. I said it in the last video. Pluto is the planet of power, and when it comes into a contact with the sun, we become very powerful, all right? All eyes are on us. We kind of have a free ride from the universe to act out a little bit, because Pluto conjunct Sun actually makes you act out, because Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. Mars is aggression, and Pluto is more like, Pluto goes deep, right? When we have it in a conjunction with the Sun, again, all these things come into forefront, meaning that we are going to be more out there. As a result, on this material realm, this is going to manifest, such as, like, for example, let's just say you work in social media, for example, okay? This could mean that you gain a lot of followers, a lot of new people coming to you, a lot of people like really seeing you as a leader in a way, right? So, but because Pluto is also a transformational planet, you have to be careful of yourself. There are negative sides to this transit, such as you have to watch out for your health, for your body. As I always believe that we can have, with any aspect, we can have a good result, and it's just up to us. I also believe that a square can be a good aspect, but we are talking about right now about a conjunction, right? So again, the conjunction with Sun and Pluto. So you want to be as healthy as you can. You want to work out. You want to eat healthy. This is not the time, Aquarius, to indulge in some like negative stuff, like cut the drugs, cut the cigarettes, cut all of that, because sometimes when Pluto makes an aspect with our sun, it can be highly dramatic because it can create a life and death situation, all right? Not always, but it can result in that. I've seen it many times. Not a lot of astrologers like to say it, but I have to say it because it's just the reality of things. Again, the good sides of this transit for you, Aquarius, is that you're going to gain in power. So you're going to feel empowered. You're going to feel like, okay, now it's the time to step into my power. But again, you also don't want to overuse your power or misuse your power, I should say. That is a very important thing to consider here, because again, it's not going to be a good look. Just because you have Pluto in conjunct with your sun, it doesn't mean that you can do everything. In fact, you should not. And what else can I say? Well, yeah. If you want to know more about this, how this plays out in people who have it in their natal chart, you may want to check out my last video. So this is when we have the sun. Okay, we are starting right now with the sun placements. So now we're going to talk about Pluto squaring your sun. So, and this is, of course, if you have your sun in Scorpio or your sun in Taurus. So, first of all, I would like to say, I want to take away the fear out of you, because I know that squares get a bad rap. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to tell you that this transit is going to be all roses and butterflies, but a square can be a good thing. It's really up to you, and also up to your past actions. And I'm going to explain in a minute why. In general, when we have Pluto aspecting our sun. Right now, where I'm recording this, I'm still having it because I am a late degree Aries, and Pluto right now is in late degree Capricorn. So I really know what I'm talking about here, and I researched this transit a lot. And in fact, I had someone in my life who, as a result of not just that, but as a result of multiple hard aspects in their chart, they unfortunately passed. But I also have to say that they made everything possible to have a bad outcome. And this is why it's so important, guys, to be mindful. Chances are, if you watch this channel, you are a very mindful person. If you're not a mindful person, if you live like from your ego, this transit squaring your sun is going to be a real challenge for you, and you have to brace yourself. There are going to be moments when Pluto squares our sun. Like, first of all, this is a transit that it's not linear, okay? It's going to come in waves, okay? What you're going to feel with this transit is going to come in waves. First of all, that. How it feels, it's like a mini death. Really. It really feels like you are being reborn, and your ego goes through, like it's going to be teared down. Now, if you say, because here's the thing, and I'm hearing you already, I'm hearing you saying that. No, I already had an ego death. That's impossible. Let me tell you here. I was like this as well, okay? I used to think that I had an ego death back in, I don't know, somewhere in 2012. No. When this aspect happened, like when it started 3 years ago, it was so intense. I was like, okay, what the F is going on? Again, you're going to feel like it's going to be more of a psychological thing. Even though I have to say, you have to watch out for your health. This is crucial because, as I just mentioned with my, with my ex-boyfriend, if you do not take care of yourself, if you do drugs, like big time, if you do drugs, if you had like really, it's up to your past actions as well. Like, this can have a negative result. I have to say it. Now, luckily, I don't do any drugs. And for me, like the past 2 years, when I was going through that transit, it was more psychological. But I have to confess, there were moments with this transit where I felt like, okay, is this my last day on this earth? I literally felt like on an energetic level, because Pluto is the planet of the underworld, right? And of the other side as well. I really felt like at some points, like, okay, they're going to get me. They're here to get me. Like, there were days where I felt, okay, it's the last day of my life right now. Now, I made it through, and you totally can do this as well. But just know you're going to be rebuilt, okay? Another thing that really stands out on a psychological level with this one is that we may have from time to time some very extreme nightmares where we are confronted with our ego. Meaning, like, you may dream stuff about, like, you acting like a super brat, like in a very negative way towards other people, and you may wake up fully disgusted about yourself. Now, I'm not saying that this is you in reality. It's like an over exaggeration of your ego in your dream, and you may wake up feeling like, oh my God, I don't want to be like that. And as a result of that, because this is Pluto doing this. This is Pluto bringing you those nightmares, right? As a result of that, you're going to change, okay? You're going to feel like, okay, I'm going to make everything possible to not to not be like this because it's horrible. Like, if you are a self-aware person, that is. If you are someone, and this is where we're going to switch now to the more material side of this transit. If you are someone like let's just take the example of PDD. Okay, he's all over the news. He's a horrible person. We know that by now. And he's a Scorpio. And of course, Pluto is going to square his sun in Scorpio. Okay, because Pluto's in Aquarius. So, I would argue that we are already witnessing a little bit of that transit in his life. Like, his past actions are catching up with him, and he has to deal with his past actions, right? Here's the thing. I predict, I personally do not think that Diddy is going to make it with this transit. Like, this is my prediction. I can be wrong, of course. But, just giving the fact that he, there's so much evidence against him, and there are so many powerful people taken into consideration when it comes to this whole case. But again, I don't want to talk about celebrities that much. This is just an example. Again, if you did bad stuff in your past, this is the transit where it's going to catch up with you. Now, if you are someone that, and again, let's take the psychological thing aside. If you are someone that, let's just say you experienced like negativity, if you experienced like abuse towards you, this is a time where you are going to be seen. Okay, this is a time where people are going to finally listen to you, where you're going to feel like, oh, I finally get that help that I need. Okay, there are some Taurus people that come to my mind that are raising a voice when it comes to abuse and stuff like that. And guess what? Pluto is already squaring them. When it already started like throughout last year, because Pluto has had that back and forth dance of going into Aquarius and then Capricorn, and now it's in Capricorn, and then it goes into Aquarius. So you already had that, right? So this is a positive thing. Again, you can feel like finally people are listening to you, because again, there is a lot of energy with the square is an aspect of a lot of energy going on. So as I just said, it is more on a psychological level where we feel this transit. It's not something to be feared only. It's only to be feared if you did, or let's just say if you behaved negatively in the past, or if you are not a self-aware person. I have to say, like my then boyfriend that unfortunately passed, he was at that time not a self-aware person. I tried everything to make him self-aware of his flaws and his addiction problems, but he could not overcome this. I also will say though that with this aspect, there are going to be times where we're going to be utterly depressed. Because again, Pluto is the planet of the underworld. And we may feel like, as I just explained, I had moments throughout this transit where I felt like, okay, is this my last day? Again, to take this example of my then boyfriend, he was an early degree Aries. This transit happened for him when Pluto got into the early degrees of Capricorn. So, I remember him being at times depressed as well. But it's very crucial, guys, to not give into this depression. You have to, really swear it to me. Do me that favor. Do not bend down to that depression, because this is when it goes when things could go downhill. You want to it's okay to acknowledge what's going on. Please acknowledge your feelings, but don't go too much into the negativity. There are going to be days though where you're going to feel like having a mini death or a mini funeral for yourself, for your ego, that is. And it's totally okay to have that day in bed and to do nothing and to grieve. Because again, there are going to be moments where you feel like doing that with this aspect. So this is Pluto squaring your sun. Again, it can have a positive effect though on your career. I will say that, and on your life purpose, because again, the sun is you and you're going to be redefined with Pluto here. You're going to be a newborn person as a result of this transit. So I wish you good luck, Scorpio and Taurus suns. Everything is going to turn out well. And so stay tuned for your personal planets later on in this video. Now we're going to talk about Leo. What happens when Pluto makes an opposition to Leo? So I already talked about this many times, but with the opposition, we are looking at it's like looking at the other planet. We are the planet and then there is the other planet. It's the Libra axis in a way. So we are going to be opposed by people who want to tell us on what to do and how to do it. And we may feel overpowered at times. I will say though, it is with any, I have to say it, with any aspect to the sun, if it is the conjunction, if it is the square, I would argue though that with the square, the most intense one, all right? But also with the opposition to your sun, Leo, you have to be careful of your vital force, all right? You want to be careful of your health. You want to do everything possible to be healthy. Cut out any things that do not serve you. Cut out stress. Leo's individuality and a desire for recognition is going to meet the more detached and communal energies, with this opposition of Aquarius. And, this may lead to potential identity crisis because we as Leos, we want to shine, right? We are the king, we are the queens, right? I'm a Leo rising and I'm I'm here to shine, right? I don't want to hide myself somewhere. No, I'm here to shine, right? But with Pluto here, we're going to have this identity crisis because we are asked to tone it down, right? So again, you as well, with the square, similar with the Pluto square sun. Even though again, I have to say the square is more traumatic in my opinion. With you, it's going to be also confrontations with your ego, where you may have to recognize how you behave, how you use or misuse your ego, ego issues, and challenges when it comes around leadership, right? So this is a period, Leo, where you're going to redefine yourself as well, redefine your self-worth, and you become more conscious on how you impact others. So yeah, this is all what I have for Leo suns. Again, if you are a Leo sun, you may want to check out the transit for Leo rising, because this goes for you as well, right? So and I think I covered all the sun placements, yes. So now we're going to start with the personal placements. So let's start with the moon. So what happens when Pluto is squaring our moon? So there may be emotional upheavals. Again, the moon is our emotions, our needs, right? Our inner self in a way. So the comfort. All right. So when Pluto makes this tense aspect, again, there may be some emotional upheavals and also some challenges when it comes to attachment and your comfort zone. So this aspect really encourages you to release any emotional dependencies. Like, let's just say you are a very, a codependent person. For example, let's just say you have your moon natally in the 7th house. This is a placement where we sometimes can be a little bit codependent. So with Pluto here in a square aspect, it's asking you to release that, to release any codependency, any attachments. And as a result, you're going to feel more resilient when it comes to your emotions, and you're going to feel like you don't need to depend so much on others, right? Also, the moon governs over our home. So with any aspect here, no matter if it's the square, conjunction, opposition, there's most likely there is going to happen something when it comes to your home and the place where you live. Also, there could be something with the mom coming up. So yeah, there may be changes when it comes to your mom and your home. So watch out for this. So what happens when we have the opposition, Pluto opposite our moon? This is going to be more like, it's also with tension. Now with the opposition, this is even more important when it comes to the mom and the family. Because with the opposition, it creates even more emotional tension. And because the opposition is an aspect of you and me, right? So this has more to do with the family, even more, and relationship dynamics. So, it may bring up feelings of vulnerability and forcing a re-evaluation of how you nurture and receive nurturing, in your family and in your relationships. So yeah, this is another tense aspect in that regard. And with the conjunction, so when we have Pluto conjunct Moon, that's the most intense one. But actually, I will say, this is a time where we crave. It could be, that when you have this going on, this transit, you're going to feel like you crave more, and like you have a need, that insatiable need for a deep, meaningful relationship or interaction with others, I should say. And we may also attract people who are very deep, and also, because Pluto can be a little bit negative when it comes to like let's just say Pluto also can have those stalker qualities, right? So we may also attract, or we act out, it can be both ways, that we are having, like, we want to find out everything about a person, or people want to find out everything about us, and especially of our emotions, and go very deep about, and when it comes to emotions. So the conjunction really pushes for emotional rebirth and the shedding of past emotional patterns, and it leads to powerful self-discovery. So this is a very powerful one, but again, beware of not being overpowered by your emotions. Okay, so this was Pluto in aspect to the moon. So let's talk about Mercury. What happens when we have Pluto in aspect to our Mercury? So let's start with the square. Now, when Pluto squares our Mercury, there could be challenges in our communication. There could be very intense and heated conversations, or we may be mentally very fixed on a subject. This aspect also forces you to have an honest look at of beliefs and perceptions. It really brings profound thinking. I have Mercury Pluto opposition in my chart. Like it's the biggest thing you see when you open up my chart. It's that thick, very thick, tense aspect. I think this is, but it can be a good one, So, as I said, squares are not always bad. They can be good. You have to be careful though on a material level because Mercury also governs our vehicles. Please be careful. Don't drive too fast, right? Don't get caught up in conversations when you're on the street to other drivers, and just be careful that you don't drive too fast because this one, it can have some negative effects when it comes to this. But yeah, so the opposition, the opposition brings power struggles when it comes to communication. Okay, this is more again because the opposition, it's the me and you axis. So with the opposition, it's the same. It's a little bit of the same energy like with the square. Like we are very fixated on a subject. We can go very deep with a subject. We can go very deep with our thinking. We want to find out everything. We are deep thinkers when we have that aspect going on. But again, the problem just is that we may have a problem to communicate that. Not everyone may be on our side when we want to communicate our very deep ideas. And that's going to cause a confrontation when it comes to different perspectives. Now, as I said, I have this in my natal chart, and I totally agree with that. At times, there are, like in astrology, like I feel like this is a good aspect for as an astrologer, and a lot of you like my interpretation of astrology, and I guess that's my Mercury opposite Pluto going on. But a lot of times in other areas of my life, I had power struggles when it came to my ideas and perspectives. So this is the opposition. Now with the conjunction, it's even more. It really intensifies the mind even more, right? Because Pluto is full on hitting our Mercury. This is where we are by default just a deep thinker, or become one, I should say, because it's a transit and not a natal position. It's a very good one if we want to delve into psychology, research, metaphysical studies, and it really sharpens the desire to uncover truth. So this is Mercury. So what happens when we have Pluto in aspect to our Venus? So let's start with the square. So right now when I'm recording this, I'm having this aspect. I'm having Pluto in a square to my Venus, because my Venus is in Taurus at 2 degrees. And I have to say that it's very interesting that everything that has to do with beauty or let's just say relationships or values, because Venus is also values, and the role as a woman, as being a woman, because Venus represents women, right? I really find myself thinking a lot of times like about these things and being like fed up on how things are in our society. And let me tell you that prior to this transit, I was not such a person. Like, of course, I acknowledge that there were things wrong, but like ever since with this transit, it's like it's hitting me more. Like it's very interesting. Now, as I said in the beginning of this video, squares are not always bad. I have to say that it gave me a lot of energy when it comes to Venus stuff. So when it comes to relationships become very intense. Pluto reveals here hidden issues around self-worth, of course, and attachments as well. A little bit like with the moon, but more when it comes to your self-worth. Because as I just said, Venus is the planet of value and self-worth as well. So there may be power struggles in love and finance. But again, as I said, if you apply the right strategy, you can have great results. Like I did have great results. You can have more financial abundance coming in if you apply the right strategy. If you do not follow the right strategy, this can lead to financial to challenges when it comes to finances. But general, because it's Venus, right? And any aspect to Pluto, to Venus or Jupiter, excuse me, are generally like a good one, because Venus is the lesser benefic. So generally there is going to be a good outcome with that one. Which is more the one that is more challenging when it comes to financials are the conjunction. But let's talk about the opposition first, and then we're going to talk about the conjunction. So the opposition of Pluto and Venus. So when Pluto opposites your Venus, it challenges the relationship and the self-esteem. We may also find that Plutonic people, people who who are very Plutonic by nature, or who have a job that is very Plutonic, that they could be obsessed with us, again, it's a dynamic that leads to obsession and control issues in partnerships. And it's also urging you to let go of codependent tendencies, a little bit like with the moon. But I would argue that with this one, it's more like the other people being obsessed about you. It's not so much that you are going to act those crazy sides out. For me, I see it more like the other ones, okay? Because it's Pluto, and so Pluto could be very like causing you like to have a lot of secret admirers, possibly, but be careful with those ones, because they could become possible stalkers. So with the conjunction, this is one where we have to be very careful, though. I've seen cases where, and I still try to wrap my head around why, but I think I know why. Every time, like sometimes when we are not careful with our finances, Pluto can wipe out when it makes a conjunction to Venus. It really can wipe out our finances in a way, causing us to become bankrupt, but again, it doesn't need to be like that. I always like to say it. If you apply the right strategy, if you have foresight, which you most likely have because you are watching and listening to this video, I don't think it's going to happen. But still, be careful, be mindful about your resources, about your money and finances. Yeah, but also when it comes to love, it brings very deep magnetic attractions, and it teaches you profound insights, profound lessons, on love and values and personal growth. But again, it's going to be very intense. Pluto conjunct Venus is a very intense love, guys. Like it's not for the faint of heart. Let's just say it like that. Not everyone likes that. I do not mind it. But I'm also a Pluto and Scorpio generational baby. I love when it goes deep. I love when it's intense. Like I like that stuff, but not everyone likes that, right? So so be careful of you as well, like with the opposition, be careful of Plutonic people, even though I have to say with the conjunction, it's more you that is most likely going to act more on the Plutonic side, because we're talking about Aquarius. So this is going to happen when you have your Venus in Aquarius. So it could be like that you, all of a sudden you want that safe relationship. Let's just say that prior to this transit, you were more like, because with Venus and Aquarius, when we have displacement, we are like Venus and Aquarius are in love. When they are in love, their love language is more around friendship. But with Pluto in the mix, it becomes very intense. Like we want to be with that person 24/7, we just don't want to let go of that romantic interest of ours. And so this is Venus. This is Pluto in contact to Venus. So let's move on to Mars, and this is a big one because Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. So what happens when we have a square to Mars? Well, this really intensifies desires and ambition because Mars is our actions, our ambitions. Also, it's a passionate, it's sexual energy, right? So there could, with the square, with Pluto squaring your Mars, there could be some inner conflicts or power struggles going on. So it's really essential to learn balance because, any repressed energy that you may have could lead to some serious confrontations and impulsive actions. This is one where you really have to check yourself. I'm gonna tell you because this one, even though I said that squares are not bad per se, but this one, I have to say, this one is where the square can become very bad because we're talking about very two explosive planets like Mars and Pluto. And when it is in a square aspect, please be careful. Like you have to accept when someone tells you no. If someone tells you no, it's a no. And you don't have to act out on it, please. There could be some anger issues, possibly when we have this going on. So what happens when we have the opposition though? It's the same, I would argue, like we have some intense interactions, again, because it's the axis of you and me in opposition, right? So that can manifest in competition, in conflicts, in open conflicts with other people, competition. You may want to reevaluate your goals and have a healthy expression of your desires, again, because this is one I have to say, when we have Mars opposite Pluto, I have to tell you that if you are the Mars person, are on the shorter end of the story here, because Pluto has the upper hand always, because Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. With Mars opposite Pluto, we want to go into that conflict, right? But again, as I just said, Pluto has more power. Be careful on how you choose your battles, because this is not one where you can win. And I'm going to leave it with that. I wish I could tell you something more positive, but just be mindful of your actions, your words, and So with the conjunction though, this is a very good one when it comes to sexual activity. Like this is where, oh my gosh, like we are very sexual when we have this. Like Pluto conjunct Mars, it's highly sexual. It's very magnetic. It's deep passion. We are a sex maniac when we have Pluto in contact and in conjunction to our Mars. So it's a very potent one, but it's also a one where we want to have power at all costs. Like this is, I have to say, I personally could not find an example of someone having this in a positive outcome. Like the people that I met who have this natally, they had some narcissistic tendencies. They had that, and they wanted to be in power at all costs. Think of Darth Vader. So, with this one, we or I think Hillary Clinton has that. That makes a lot of sense. Like, again, we are very power driven when we have Mars in a conjunction with Pluto. So again, watch out to not become too power driven. And so this is the conjunction to Mars. So let's move on to Jupiter, the great benefic. So this is a very interesting one. because any aspect to Jupiter are hardly negative, because Jupiter is the great benefic, right? So Pluto squaring your Jupiter challenges your beliefs, because Jupiter stands for beliefs and faith and expansion, besides of the big money. So it may bring intense transformations around ideologies, personal ethics, religion, and also, as I just said, financial abundance, right? And it encourages a deeper understanding of prosperity and growth. So this is a very fruitful time. So with the opposition, it challenges your individual outlook, and it can prompt clashes with authority or like social norms. Because again, I don't know, like authority. Okay, authority is the wrong word, because authority would be Saturn, but with Pluto, like it's like power, like power from others. And your optimistic outlook, because Jupiter is a very optimistic one. So your optimism could be challenged by other people who represent Pluto. But yeah, ultimately it really brings you more growth and a broader understanding of power. So what happens when it's in a conjunction with when Pluto conjuncts your natal Jupiter? So this is a very transformational time when it comes to beliefs, your, again, your ethics, similar like everything what I just said, and religion and stuff like that. And it really amplifies, because Pluto is like amplifying, Pluto is that higher octave of Mars. So it really amplifies a drive for knowledge, power, and purpose. It also really can bring a lot of money. Again, any contact with Pluto and Jupiter is a very good one when it comes to abundance, when we apply the right strategy. So for you, it's very crucial that you have these transformative beliefs. I mean, because these could lead to more this one, right? So yeah, perhaps you're going to have some new goals, like a complete 360 of your goals and ambitions. And yeah, so as a result of that, you could end up making more money. So this is very nice. So with Pluto, and I should say here, I should add that a lot of billionaires have anything going on with Pluto conjunct Jupiter. And any contact with Pluto and Jupiter produces a lot of wealth. So yeah, so let's move on to Saturn. This is one where a lot of people are afraid of. This could push you to confront your limitations in your life structure, your career and authority. It really demands a re-examination of discipline and personal boundaries. So a little story here on how this played out in my life. And this is a very good example on how squares, and especially Saturn, I should say, may play out. I had Saturn squaring my Pluto. It was the other way around. But still, there are some similarities, right? So when this was going on, I had like a delay when it came to my business, and I had I had like power struggles when it came to other people that had to do with my business. And at that time, like when this tense square aspect happened, I was actually not going into the right direction with my business, and I didn't know that by now. I came out of this transit knowing, oh, okay, I should do this when it comes to my business and work with actually another person. So this can cause you, guys, to this aspect to, at the end of this transit, like perhaps you want to redefine like the people that you work with professionally, because again, Saturn is a professional planet. and everything material. So maybe at the end of this transit, when it's finishing squaring your Saturn, you may find yourself working with other people. You may find that, the people that I worked with up until this point, it's not doing something for my career. It's not doing the right thing for my business or my goals or whatever, you want to do. Like if you have a business or if you work for someone or if you but Saturn is career. Saturn is not job. Saturn is more a career planet. So, again, you're going to come out of this like, okay, you know what? I'm done with those. And again, there may be some power clashes with those in authority. And it really demands discipline on your end and personal boundaries. So what happens when we have the opposition, though? Pluto opposite Saturn to our Saturn, that is. So that brings clashes like that because, again, it's the me and you axis with the opposition. It brings clashes with authority, responsibility, and personal fears also. It often requires to let go of outdated commitments because the opposition is that first versus seventh house, and commitments falls under the seventh house, like contracts and stuff. So, and Pluto is the one that wants to burn all things away, like that are not good for you. So, like any outdated commitments, may leave. And it's a restructuring. It's a restructuring over your foundation. So this is very nice as well. So with the conjunction, what happens when we have Pluto in conjunct with our Saturn? Well, this is one where a lot of people have fears. Fun fact is that the astrologer Chris Brennan, he found out that every time Pluto and Saturn make an aspect, are in a conjunction, that it is linked to viruses. So when it comes to your health, so please be careful with any viruses. But besides the health thing, this is a conjunction that really intensifies discipline and persistence, all right? Because Saturn is the planet of persistence and discipline. So, and Pluto intensifies everything that it touches, right? So this is a time where you want to be very disciplined, very committed to any structure that you have in mind. So it really helps you to transform your life foundations, to build resilience, and it brings commitment to long-term goals. So with any of those placements, as I always say when it comes to astrology, we do have free will. If you apply the right strategy, you can have a good outcome, right? So guys, so that was it with my Pluto transiting the personal planets. I may add something to it, like perhaps I make some shorts when I have more insights, like, sometimes I get like those Uranus, like aha moments, and then I have some new insights, and I may share them through a short. So this was it, and take care and love you. See you soon. Bye-bye.